Also, the industry standard for boxing media relations and play-by-play broadcasting. Also, check out www.abramsboxing.com, Abrams Boxing on YouTube, as well as M. Abrams Boxing on Twitter and Marc Abrams Boxing on Instagram. Hello, boxing fans out there. This is Marc Abrams, and welcome to another edition of the Abrams Boxing Show. We'll be joined later in the show by Featherweight Edward Vazquez, who fights in the co-feature of ShoBox and New Generation live this Friday night from Topeka, Kansas, and live on SHOWTIME. Let's just get right to it. Some of the results of the past weekend. This past Saturday night in San Antonio, Texas, O'Shaquie Foster became the WBC Super Featherweight Champion of the world with a 12-round unanimous decision over former two-division world champion Ray Vargas. Foster now 20-2 with 11 knockouts. Vargas follows the 36-1, 22 knockout scores were 119-109, 117-111, and 116-112 for O'Shaquie Foster, who rose up the ranks after a couple disappointing losses on ShoBox. I actually worked with his former promoter, GH3 Promotions, and he at times he showed that championship ability earlier in his career, and a lot to get excited about. Then there was a couple uneasy performances. He went through some personal issues. A couple years ago, he got himself right, and that championship pedigree and that championship, those skills that people saw early on in his career came to fruition on Saturday night. And he is now the WBC 130-pound super featherweight world champion. He's a nice guy, O'Shaquie. Quiet, a little quiet in his demeanor, but he, like I said, right now he's a world champion, and he stands to, get some pretty significant fights over the next year or so. So, congratulations to O'Shaquie Foster for winning the world championship this past Saturday night live on SHOWTIME. The undercard saw former world champion Mario Barrios, who's now a welterweight. He had his welterweight debut about a year and a half ago when he fought Keith Thurman. Scored an 8th-round stoppage over Gervonta Santiago. Barrios is now, what's his record now? It doesn't even say his record now. I didn't write it down. But he was winning every round. He broke down Santiago. Santiago now 14-3, 110 knockouts, as he did a nice job. And, in the welterweight division, I expect Barrios to kind of, maybe get another decent fight on SHOWTIME. And, we could see him back in the mix, sooner than later. The television opener saw heavyweight Lanier Perot go to 9-0. He made his got a 6 stoppage win as he stopped Victor Faust. Faust now 11-1 in round 8. Faust was hurt. He actually hurt Perot in round 3, but then Perot came back and he started getting back into the fight, and then Perot hurt him really badly in round 8. It's funny, Faust was up 68, 65, and 67 on 2 cards. Perot was up 68, 65 on the 3rd card. So the fight was in the balance until Lanier Perot kind of surged ahead and scored the 8th-round stoppage. So that was really the only significant fights last week. I actually worked the show in Atlantic City, saw bantamweight prospect Emmanuel Rodriguez scored an 8-round unanimous decision over Sharon Carter. That was at the Showboat Hotel in Atlantic City from a packed crowd at the Carousel Room. The Showboat R&B Promotions put on good card, Alex Barbosa. So take a look for Emmanuel Rodriguez, who I believe is now about 13-0 now, to kind of climb up the rankings. This Saturday live on the Zone in what people are hailing to maybe be the first fight of the year candidate or a leading fight of the year candidate. Lee Wood defends the WBA featherweight title against Mauricio Lara. That's going to be a war. 2 guys who just come forward. Lara is an animal. The Bronco, he's just an all-action, violent fighter, as I like to say. And that's going to be a terrific fight for as long as it lasts. I'm leaning towards the road warrior Mauricio Lara, who's going to be traveling all the way to England, and he's not adverse. He beat Josh Warrington in England. So I like Mauricio Lara in that fight on Saturday afternoon live in England. Saturday night, the Zone is an offering. Luis Neri takes on Azat Hovhannisyan in a WBC super bantamweight elimination fight. Again, two guys who like to come forward. So both main events on the Zone, the afternoon and evening sessions, figure to be terrific fights, and I look forward to watching them on Saturday night. Actually, when I get back, because I'll be broadcasting a fight live on ProfitsPlus.com. Dylan Price, the undefeated bantamweight, takes on Jobert Alvarez. Price Promotions, $24.99. Look for that on Profits. That's PROFETS. PLUS.com to see an up-and-coming, possible rising star in the bantamweight division, Dylan Price taking on Jobert Alvarez. Also, we'll see the pro debut of Dylan's brother, Devin, on the card as well. Friday night in Topeka, Kansas, ShoBox and New Generation offers up a triple header in the main event. Ardrell Holmes takes on Ismael Villarreal. The co-feature will see Misael Lopez take on Edward Vazquez, and Kurt Scobie, a fighter I see now in New Jersey, former highly regarded running back, played at Fresno State, then at Azusa Pacific, will be in the televised opener. But the one I'm looking forward to the most is the co-feature bout between Misael Lopez taking on Edward Vazquez. And earlier this week, I had a chance to talk to the Fort Worth, Texas native Edward Vazquez, and this is how it went. Now joining me on the line is featherweight Edward Vazquez, who takes on Misael Lopez this Friday night live on ShoBox and New Generation on Showtime from, of all places, Topeka, Kansas. Not exactly the boxing hotbed capital of the world, but Topeka, Kansas. Sure gonna have a lively crowd in the arena on Friday night. Edward, what's happening?
Not much, man. Just getting done with my evening workout and, just zoning in, clocking in, man. We're not too far out now, about 3 days out. So, just trying to stay focused.
Got this call about a month ago or so to take this fight against Lopez. What's he bring to the table? And I believe the last time he was on ShoBox was his only defeat. I think he got stopped by Jordan White, if I'm not mistaken. In that lone appearance. So what does he bring to the table?
Man, well, first off, he brings a good win over Orlando Gonzalez. And so beating him, will show the featherweight division that I'm knowing to play with, and I'm sure they know that already. But he brings some skills, and he brings some grit, and he's got some momentum on his back right now, and he's in a good training camp. So in my eyes, like I've been telling everyone, I look at him like the best featherweight in the world right now, and that's how I'm training for him.
That fight, is at 129 pounds. I see on his record, he's fought as high as 142 pounds. Is that
holy shit?
I don't. What's that?
I said, holy shit! I didn't know that.
Well, yeah, it says here on his box track, I do believe, about 6-7 fights back. He may have been out. He may have been out of shape, overweight for that fight, for all we know. But it was an off the beaten track fight, so it wasn't it wasn't one of those big fights here. 142 against 418 Richard Flores in Westminster, Colorado. So it doesn't. I don't know. It's very out of character. So something tells me it was an out of shape 142.
He's a fat ass. That's what he tells me. That's what that tells me.
So, I mean, what you saw? I'm sure you saw the Gonzalez fight. You saw the Jordan White fight. Like you said, that's almost a tale of two fights. He coming off a great win, and the other fight was a disappointing loss. And like I know you said you're treating him like he's the best featherweight in the world, but did you see some common traits that you can exploit that he used, even in the winning effort?
Overall, he's very skilled, and I expect him to bring a little bit better package and a different package this time. Now that he's with, I believe he's changed trainers. He's training with Manny Robles, so Manny Robles is a little bit more seasoned, and I think he's going to have him stand inside the pocket and want to bang a little bit more. So I'm expecting a little bit different package, but at the end of the day, I believe I have more dog in me, and when things start to get ugly, you always revert back to what you've been doing, and I think what he's been doing is being more of like a boxer puncher, and I have a lot of success versus guys like that, and if he wants to stand on the inside and bang, even better. So we have an answer for everything he wants to bring to the table, and we'll just let it play out.
2-0 since I'll just be blunt. Your bullshit loss to Raymond Ford a couple fights ago, win over Jose Arguello. You came to my hometown of Philadelphia. Then the big win over Edward Slavinsky in California. What in the last couple fights, what's been the difference?
Man, the difference has been just the amount of focus since the Ray Ford fight. I believe I did a lot of good things in the Ray Ford fight, but also I feel like there were some things that I could have done a lot better. And I've just got back in the gym and made a lot of corrections and fixed all those errors. And I've just been training my ass off, man. If you know me, outside of the interviews and all that, I'm a 100% dedicated fighter. I take no days off, and I take this business serious. And so I just think the intensity of the training, of my focus, my studying. I'm a student of the game, so I've just been hitting the books pretty much, man, and you guys will see that Friday night.
Do you feel, and I know we've probably said this even about the Irvin Gonzalez fight or the Ford fight or Slavinsky fight, you feel this is the opportunity? ShoBox, it's your first time on ShoBox, but as everyone knows, ShoBox has been such a gateway platform for so many fighters that they have that impressive performance on ShoBox. It's almost like the lighting of the match. You have an impressive performance on ShoBox. It kind of catapults you to whether it's another big ShoBox appearance or on Showtime Championship Boxing, a huge opportunity. Is this the way you're looking at it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a win over Lopez will catapult me into title contention by the end of 2023. Hopefully, I never, like I said, I'm not overlooking him. He's in my eyes, he's the best 126 pounder in the world. So, I got to get through him. But once I get through him, man, I think one of those top 10 guys will set their eyes on me or set their target on me, and hopefully we can make something happen. Maybe it'll be Ray Ford.
Obviously you guys are, he's got a fight. He's, I believe, fighting Magdaleno, Jesse Magdaleno, and, you're doing your thing. Is that a fight that you think needs to happen, whether it's a year, 5 years, 10 years from now, whenever that may be? Is that a fight that needs to happen again?
Absolutely. I think his legacy will be stained if he doesn't run it back with me. I don't think there's an interview he was able to have or a conversation he's able to have, maybe even with his mom, without them bringing me up. So, I think eventually he'll have to run it back with me. If it's in the ring or in the street, we'll have to make it happen.
Real quickly, we're talking featherweight, just to divert a little bit from your fight for a second. Big featherweight fight on Saturday, Mauricio Lara, Lee Wood. You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, man. I think Mauricio Lara is gonna go in there and take it to Lee Wood. Take nothing away from Lee Wood. He's a good fighter. He had a good win versus Mick Conlon. That was an all-out war. But I think Mauricio Lara just like I said earlier about me and Lopez. I think he just has more dog in him, and I think that's going to make the difference here.
I know you're like you said, hopefully by the end of 2023, we'll start to mention your name, with those guys in terms of getting a title shot or a big fight. Do you have like a more interest in a fight like that because it's a world title fight in your weight division than, maybe other fights? I mean, is that a fight like, you're going to, obviously when you get done with your business Friday night, be very interested in on Saturday?
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to fight, one of any of those guys.
I'm just saying, even as a boxing fan interest, because you are a featherweight, is that a fight that you circle? I have to watch this one
Oh,
because it's big.
absolutely. I'm a huge
Yeah.
student of the game. I'm a big fan of boxing, and I love boxing. So yeah, I'll definitely be tuning into that. I try to catch all the fights. It doesn't matter what weight class or what platform. I try to catch them all, man. And if I don't watch it Saturday night, I'll find my way around to it, studying it.
But I guess the question is, do you sit a few inches closer to the TV because it is a featherweight fight?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. And I'm licking my chops.
So I mean, like we said, ShoBox and all it's done for so many people. I mean, you've had nothing but terrific performances. You did it from the Showtime people in your last fight. Obviously, you fought on the Showtime YouTube and social media channels with the big win over Slavinsky. You feel another impressive performance. You're going to start to get mentioned for one of these maybe Showtime championship boxing type of fights.
Absolutely. I think it's inevitable. I think in boxing, the grind only will give you what you put into it. And I'm 20 years in, and I don't take easy fights. I fight all these, you know, these guys that got good wins and good momentum. And so, I think beating another one of these guys, I think definitely it'll earn me one of those spots on one of the bigger cards.
Obviously, I've taken a little bit more interest in your last handful of fights. Just 3 knockouts and 14 wins. I feel that your power is a little bit underrated because you love to stand in there and bang, and you do throw a lot of hard shots. You think fighters may sleep on that when they look at what's on the paper?
Yeah, possibly. But, that comes with the territory, and like I said, I don't fight bums, and so I'm not one of those guys that was able to have the first 10 fights or 10 layups. It wasn't that way for me. I had to I had to go on the road and earn these wins, and so that's why you don't see the padded record on my record. So yeah, they might overlook my power, but at the end of the day, that's not all I have either. I'm not just a come forward fighter or a power puncher or just a boxer. I'm a little bit mixture of everything. I'm an adjustable fighter, so they can see it however they want, and come fight now. You never know what I'm going to bring to the table, man.
Well, Friday night he's going to try to ply his trade and show the world what he's all about. Edward Vazquez. Final thought. What do you want to tell the fans out there before we let you go?
I appreciate all the support. South side of Fort Worth, baby, we're here, and I'm here to make some noise and look for me to dog this guy out, man. I think in the late rounds he's gonna try to find a way out of this, man, and he won't want to be in there much longer.
Good time for boxing in Fort Worth. I think just announced today that Virgil Ortiz be defending his world title, I believe, in Fort Worth on April 29th. I
Yeah,
think it's
in
Fort Worth.
Arlington actually,
In,
which
in
is
Arlington.
yeah, not very
I,
far from me.
I know you. I've asked you this question before, but you got Virgil, you got yourself, you got Errol Spence, and Frank Martin. I know has been trained down there. The good boxing climb in the Dallas. That's
Yeah, we
North
actually,
Texas, right?
Anthony Joshua just moved out here too. He's
And
training out here
Anthony
now too.
Joshua with Derek James.
Yeah, so there's a lot of good noise coming on out here, but you
If I'm
know,
not mistaken, you were in the gym one day and he showed up. Is that correct?
yeah, he was. Guy's huge, man. But it's just in Texas. We don't play boxing, and there's a lot of momentum going on down here, and you know that Texas smoke, man. Everybody wants a piece of it.
Well, I know you've been in. Maybe you give us a little insight too. You can play boxing pundit for a second. You've been around Derek James. Yeah, he's not your trainer, but you've been in that gym thousands of times, I would imagine. Derek James, Anthony Joshua. What do you think that marriage will turn out to be?
Man, I think that's going to be a great relationship. I think Derek James is a very very good coach, a very strict coach, a very knowledgeable coach, and I think Anthony Joshua needs someone like that that's going to be hard on him, doesn't allow him to kind of slack off or make any silly mistakes, and I think he's going to take him back to basics, and he's going to really put some real boxing tools into his arsenal, and not just some. I don't know. He's had good coaches before, but Derek James is different, man, and he pushes you to a different level. and I think that's something what Anthony Joshua has been lacking so far.
That's a heck of an audition to be a boxing commentator. I like it. Good thorough analysis by Edward Vazquez here. So yeah, when the boxing in the ring is done, I think you might have a future talking about fights. But I know you got about maybe 15 to 20 more years of boxing in you. Edward Vazquez, thank you for a few minutes of your time. Best of luck on Saturday, and of course, we'll talk to you along the way.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Here you have it, Edward Vazquez, getting the big opportunity this Friday night live on ShoBox and New Generation, live in Topeka, Kansas, live on Showtime. Some news of the week: the undercard is set for this Saturday night's DAZN fight. We mentioned before Azad Hovhannisyan and Luis Nery. The co-feature will pit Sugar Shane Mosley Jr., 18-4, 10 knockouts in a 10-round bout against Mario Lozano, 33-10. 33-10, 24 knockouts. Also, we'll see flyweight Ricardo Sandoval and some other fighters under the Golden Boy stable. Unbeaten super featherweight Joe Cordina has a chance to regain his IBF 130-pound world championship when he takes on Shavkatsan Rakhimov, 17-0 and 114 knockouts at the Cardiff International Arena in Cardiff, Wales. That will take place on April the 22nd and live on DAZN. Middleweight Chris Eubank Jr. Will force his rematch clause with Liam Smith. Smith knocked out Eubank on January 22nd. Eubank wrote this morning, I activate my rematch clause, and his promoters, Wasserman, this was done happy, and he wished Liam Smith a happy Valentine's Day. So that's always interesting. WBO number 4 and IBF number 6, super middleweight in the world, Edgar Berlanga signed with Matchroom Boxing. We interviewed Berlanga about 10 days ago, and obviously his free agent courtship was, but pretty, rapid in the sense that Golden Boy, PBC, Matchroom won out, and they will be the promoters of Edgar Berlanga, 20-0, 16 knockouts from New York. Tekken Promotion announced that sensational prodigy Tenishan Nasukawa. He's going to have his pro boxing debut. He was the guy who Floyd Mayweather fought in Japan a couple years ago in an exhibition star, a popular kickboxing star. He will take on Yuki Yamaha on April 8th. That fight will be in conjunction with a championship doubleheader. I would say Kenshiro Tajiri defend his WBC and WBA 100-pound world championship against WBO champion Jonathan Gonzalez. Also WBA number 2 Takuma Inoue and number 3 Laborio Solis will vie for the vacant WBA bantamweight championship. So 2 world title shots. So that show's going to be on ESPN Plus. We'll get the early start time, probably sometime 3, 4, 5 in the morning in the eastern part of the United States. After a delay due to I think it was appendicitis, Amantis Staniotis will travel to Fort Worth, Texas to take on Virgil Ortiz Jr. That will take place April 29th at the College Park Center at the University of Texas at Arlington in Arlington, Texas, and live on DAZN. Sad to announce the passing of a friend of ours, Ken Thompson, one of the not only great promoters, built so many fighters with his Thompson boxing promotion, but more importantly, just one of the best guys you'll ever meet in boxing. And, it's such a shame, 86 years old. He passed away, I think, over the weekend. And, he'll be sorely missed. I've had many of opportunity to work on cards for with Mr. Thompson, as a couple of the promoters I work with. They did co-promotions, and just one of the real genuinely nice men in boxing. And, rest in peace to Mr. Ken Thompson. Condolences to everyone at Thompson Boxing. Just a truly terrific human being has left us. Newly crowned 3-division champion Emmanuel Navarrete will remain the WBO 130-pound championship. He won that bout on February 3rd with a knockout over Liam Wilson. So that means he gave up his WBO featherweight championship, which will now be vied for by Robesi Ramirez and Isaac Dogbay. That fight will take place on April 1st in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Robeson and Dogbay will top an ESPN Plus card at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Tulsa, Oklahoma. King's Promotions will be back at the Wind Creek Event Center on March the 10th. The main event, Julian Hammerhands Rodriguez. Julian Williams on my mind. Julian Rodriguez, 21 and 114 knockouts, taking on Kayshawn Hutchinson, 10 and 5, 2 KOs. Looks like to be an interesting. We will be doing. We'll be showing his interview very shortly. WBA has ordered the title fight between Gennady Golovkin and Arislandi Larov as part of their consolidation of their middleweight championship. And finally, Unified Super Bantamweight champion Mirajan Akhmadali of 11-0, 8 knockouts, will defend his title against Marlon Tapales. That will take place in San Antonio, Texas, part of the Jesse Bam Rodriguez, Christian Gonzalez flyweight title fight. Also on the card, two other pretty good fights. We mentioned Raymond Ford, who's the nemesis of Edwin Vazquez. He will take on former world champion Jesse Magdaleno, and also super featherweight Thomas Gunnerman Matisse will take on Ramiro Cessna. That's our show for the week. I'd like to thank Edwin Vazquez for joining us, and we'll be back next week with the reviews of all the fights this weekend, and we'll preview a big night of boxing for next, or big weekend of boxing for the week, the 24th, 25th, and so forth and so on. I'd like to thank everyone for joining us, and we'll see you next week on the Abrams Boxing Show.